Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another weekend of racing here with us at Apollo Racing Club. Tonight we are going to be kicking off round 7 of season 12, and we're going to be racing at Misano, another one of the big, fast Italian racetracks on the schedule, and it is certain to lead to some exciting racing. A lot of playing with the track limits, trying to cut as much as you can without picking up drive-throughs. There's a couple of corners here that will actually hand out a double warning if for track limits if you hit it just right. But this is one of those tracks that famously you can really only be quick at if you know where to cut in the right places. So it'll be a good check to see if the drivers have been practicing, learning what those lines are and how to be fast around here. Right now we are just waiting for free practice to end, and then we will get over to quali. Let me see just how much time is left on that. I thought we were a little closer to practice wrapping up. Should be... Ooh, I'm actually a little bit early. It doesn't wrap up for another 3 minutes unless one of the admins is gonna kick it over. So let's go ahead, let's take this opportunity to go over last week's results, just because we weren't able to have a stream, and apologies again for being absent last week at Suzuka. But let's go ahead and take a look at those standings here. Give me just a second, folks. Go to the results of round 6. Ooh, it did something I didn't expect it to. Hold on, folks, I'm getting there. Dumb streamer is dumb. Race 1, there we go. All right, so last week at Suzuka, we had Andrew Jaski bring in the win with P1, Matt Artem finishing in P2, Juan Kyries in P3, Roadside Cookie bringing in a 4th place finish, Mark Levine in P5, Mateus Alves in P6, Mohamed Nandava finishing in P7, Louis Benara finishing in P8, Alexander Barnes in P9, Garlandi Haki in P10, Jan Stam in P11, in P12, Alan Hanglin, Wizard in P13, Abraham Hinojosa in P14, Micah Gerdes in P17, Casey Bennett in P16, Mattia Porta in P17, and Jeremy Story finishing in P18. Which brings us over to today's race, and let's go over overall standings, since we got a little bit more time in practice to burn here, so just bear with me here. So as far as the series standings go, Andrew Jaski right now sitting in P1 with 389 points, Roadside Cookie in P2 with 355, Matt Artem in 3rd place with 328 points, Casey Bennett with 308 in P4, Mattia Porta in P5 with 297 points, Derek Doppler nipping at his heels here with 294 points, just 3 points behind Mattia, putting him in 6th place. Andrew Kamizarov in P7 with 293 points, even closer to Derek Doppler for a 1-point difference between 6th and 7th place. Mateus Alves in P8 with 288 points, and tied, sitting, I guess, officially in 9th place, but tied in the points for 8th is Jeremy Story, also with 288 points, and in 10th place, 4 points behind Jeremy Story and Mateus Alves, is Alexander Barnes with 284 points to round out the top 10 in our overall standings for season 12. Well, we've got 48 seconds left on the timer for free practice. Oh, we've got in the chat from Derek Doppler. Shame I can't join, not like this. That is rough. Misano, fun track. One of my favorites. Mostly just because of that fast right-hander at the end of the back straight. You got to get really sendy to be quick on that spot of the track. And it's always just a little bit dicey. Got a couple drivers out in Porsches today really going to be trying their luck with that corner. The way the back likes to over-rotate, if it's set up not correctly, can make that corner a bit dicey. 5 seconds left in practice. We've got 21 cars on the grid going to be starting this qualifying session. And just as soon as the last of the drivers finish their laps, we will go ahead and get this underway. And I can see people going ahead and putting it back into the pits. But right now, Mateus Alves out on a pretty decent lap while we are waiting for qualifying to finish. So let's go ahead and join him here just for the last couple seconds of free practice. Excuse me. and then we will get going here. Whoa, what happened? Why did Steam open up on this? No. Stop that. Don't be silly. There we go. Oh, and as soon as I'm about to switch the cameras over, he dives into the pits. Ooh, and it's a good thing he took a practice run because he went almost head on into the wall. One moment here, folks. We are almost to showtime. Just got 2 more cars to cross the line, and then we will flip over to quali, and I'll get the cameras over trackside. Just don't have to deal with everything jumping around while I'm trying to get things going. Yeah, I'm aware I've left it running just for a little bit longer. We're about to flip sessions, and then I'll get us over to the driving. Just want this to finish up before we get the cameras over. There we go. All right, now we don't have to worry about any jarring camera transitions. Let's see who's gonna leave the pits first. Looks like Casey Bennett in the number 918 Red Bull Racing Ferrari that I appear to not have a livery for is going to be the first one out of pit row, and we can see a couple of others following him out. Got a good cluster of cars here around Christopher Shuffler, which should make things interesting on this outlap. Let's hope the drivers behave themselves on the outlap. We'll see if we get lucky today. Rob the Ace in chat. I did a 12-hour Porsche here. Oh my God, you're right. Gotta get Sendy in Sector 3. Well, I'm glad my memory is fresh. I did an endurance series with SimGrid some years ago now, and we did it. It was a Porsche Cup car series, and this track was a nightmare. It was absolute hell. Almost as bad as Paul Ricard was. Kind of will forever have tainted my opinion of the Porsche. Yeah, Cup car here was rough. But looks like we're getting more and more cars out onto the track. I think that's Tommy Kogan out in front of these 3. Gonna have a little bit of company coming into the Sendy bit of the track. You can see the back end getting a little bit loose there, trying to get out from behind him. We'll see if that's just tires warming up, or maybe he's running a very aggressive setup on that Audi. Time will tell. Let's see here. We actually should have a couple of cars getting ready to start their lap. I think it is going to be Casey Bennett. It's going to be the first one out on the hot lap. Let's see. The next car is the 333. It's going to be Matt Byrne in the car behind him. See, looking around the track, we actually have a couple of packs beginning to form a little bit here going into qualifying, which should be interesting. And I'm also just now noticing that despite the two-face livery here, he has still managed to get the highlighter bright, high visibility colors on the other half of the car. If this were a night race, it would be bummer for half the circuit, because we'd have no way of seeing him. But so far, keeping that outlap looking nice and clean. But Casey Bennett seems to have disappeared here as he's coming now into that dicey right-hander we've been talking about. Into the hairpin, gets I was going to say a late apex, but it looks like he just missed it a little bit there. Now another tricky corner there. Got to make sure you're keeping the car balanced over those corners to set up the next one. Nice kiss of the apex there, out onto the pit straight. Let's see what that first lap time is going to look like, folks. And the first qualifying lap going to be a 134.5 out of Casey Bennett. Quickly snatched away with a 133.8 by Matt Byrne. Just behind him, Tommy Kogan coming across the line with a 134.4. Got another car crossing. Just going to be Zach Dorn with a 134.4. So we got some fast lap times coming across the line already. Let's go ahead and go to the session best relative just so we can see how everybody's stacking up against the leaders. Actually, I think best time might Yeah, let's do personal best there. Little bit more indicative of what those lap times are looking like. Got a couple more coming across the line right now. Wizard gonna cross the line. Sets a 137.237 as their new personal best. Looks like most of the field is gonna be speeding up. Tommy Kogan out here, almost a half second up, exiting that corner there. And I usually have a track map up, and I don't, and that's... I skipped a step on my pre-flight check. I'm blowing it. There we go. Now we've got that figured out. I think I also just realized there was no audio. I'm sorry about that, folks. There we go. There we can hear the cars. Tommy Kogan's still just shy of a half second up on his previous best as Matt Byrne crosses the line with another personal best, 133.657. It's going to be the new time to beat, and Tommy Kogan banking a personal best as well with a 134.952, moves him up into 5th place. As we see a couple of other faster cars there just sneaking in with a couple of faster 134s, but still a strong lap time. He'll definitely be competing with some other drivers. Looking at the pace so far, only a couple of tenths between the top 7 so far. Certainly exciting to see. Bruce Hopkins out here, ooh, flying around that bend, hard onto the brakes into that tricky right-hander. But right now, 1.9 seconds up on his previous best. He's gonna be looking at a 135 here and might just be quick enough for a top 10 spot here. 1 corner to go. Let's see if he can bank that lap a little bit. Maybe not quite as aggressive on the inside there as needed to be, but he got it out in control at a 2.1 second lead with a 135.255, moves him up into 9th place, and he is going to celebrate by sending it off into the sand. Mateus Alves working his way through Sector 1 here. A tricky bit of track right at the start of the lap. A lot of patience and coasting is required here. A little spot of throttle there just to get some aero, and then he speeds it through there. A nice line out through. That is... Oh, why did my track map go away? Stop that. Turn 6. Can be very tricky. Easy to let the car out a little bit too wide and invalidate the lap, but Mateus Alves keeping it in. Let's take a look over at Matt Byrne's lap. He's got the purple border at the start of the lap here, so he's already found time up a 10th so far. Between him and Zach Doran, we're looking at those best time splits here. Zach Doran's actually got him in Sector 1 by just a 10th of a second, but Matt Byrne got a little bit more pace up over him, as we see now up 0.2 of a second coming into turn 8. Ooh, and that's wide. He barely keeps it inside the lines, doesn't manage to lose any time. That also looked like an excellent line through there. Now down through the back straight. 0.3 up now. We might even see him break the 132 barrier if he finds enough time here. You never know. There could be a lot of time in that last corner here as we see him come flying around the bend, stabs the brakes, gets the car to rotate, feeds it through there. And I think we're looking at a 133.3 here. Ooh, loses a bit of time, but gets it back on the exit. Looked like he was real inside there, but that's one of those spots that you can cut on this track to find a little bit of time if you line it up right. Now just 1 corner to go as he comes around the final bend. Let's see if he hangs on to that time. Ooh, maybe not the exit he was looking for, but he will set a new personal best with a 133.437 is now the time to beat. Mark Levine out here, a second up, and he is, where is he on the track? Just rounding, okay, I see where he is. He's got a couple of corners to go here. Not a lot of track left for improvement, but he is still going to bank a personal best. 0.8 seconds up, and that is going to net him several positions. 0.9 now as he looks to break the 1 second mark there and gains himself 5 positions with a 134.347. That is going to put him in 8th place. Got Juan Kairis over here in the number 16 Ferrari. Looks like a good run through there. He's got a quarter second up on his previous best. We've also got Zach Doran looking to post an improvement. Matt Artim is 0.2 up as well. The one thing I want to see here is session best relatives. It looks like these lap times are pretty close, and that's what we see, just 1.005 of a second difference between 9th place and 1st place. And the rest of the pack not far off from that, so we are going to have a nice tight pack going into the race. Just about halfway through qualifying, though, still plenty of time for people to post improvements here. Juan Kyrie is going to cross the line just shy of a half second faster and move up 4 positions, putting him up in 7th place with a 1:34.245. Casey Bennett, who was that just set a time that got them up there? Somebody just snuck in there. I think it was Jack McDonald with a 1:35.1 as their new, or excuse me, who was it that just did that? It was Matt Artim with a 1:33.8, moved him up into 3rd place. Abraham Hinojosa over here right now. Oof. I was going to say, I saw that, saw the Delta shoot up there, but it was because he missed a corner. Wizard looking to end this lap on a strong note. Got a rough exit there. Still up a quarter second. Will be in personal best territory. Now 0.3, 0.4 up. Might get a half second there. And he does cross the line with a new personal best. Not quite enough to net him a position, but he is chipping away at that gap and has plenty of time to close it down even more. Mateus Alves here up 0.3. Coming around turn 8, now into turn 9. Unfortunately, not going to hang on to a lot of that lead. A rough couple of corners there. He's going to have to try and recover that lap on the next go around. Number 311 car here out and looking to make more improvements here. He's found a quarter second since reaching turn 4. Now up 0.4. Just got to get a couple of good runs in here through sector 3, and he's looking at gaining a position here. Now 0.4. Let's see. Oh, that's a little bit late to turn in there, and it's going to cost him a 10th, but he gets it back on the exit. Good run through that corner there. Kick up of dust from the car in front. Not phased at all. Gets a nice line through there. Doesn't quite use all the track on the outside, but he is still up a half second. Not going to be enough for a position, but he is now within 0.3 of Roadside Cookie in P18. Let's take a look over at Mateus Alves here coming into turn 8, looking to continue to gain time. He's up a half second, which would be a monstrous improvement. Will put him in the top 5 most likely here, if he can cross the start-finish line with the same lead he has right now. Ferrari's doing pretty well out here right now. Matt Byrne in first place, sitting in first place, excuse me, driving the McLaren. Zach Doran with a Porsche, Matt Artim with an Audi. Then it is followed by, excuse me, Casey Bennett, Christopher Schuffler, both in Ferraris in Ps4 and 5, and P7 and 8. Juan Kyries and Mateus Alves also in Ferraris. Misano is being kind to its the cars that were made in Italy. What do you know? Loses a bit of time. He still should be able to gain a position here. 0.3 up. Yeah, there we go. Up to P6 with a 1:34.0. Just nipping at the heels of that 1:33 time. Oh. That was Jeremy Story. I was trying to click over there. It was a half second up on his previous best. It's a 1:34.165. Moves up to 7th place. Hanglin, excuse me, getting around the Porsche behind him there. Ooh, and out wide, that's going to be an invalid lap now. Jack McDonald kind of nipping at his own heels here. We can see that Delta flashing between gray and green. Ooh, and loses a bit of time, finds it right back. Very tricky spot of the track there. Turns 4 through 6. And we see a rough exit there onto that back stretch. Technically turn 7. And he's going to have to either hope to find a lot of time here or kind of just keep the tires warm and go for it on the next lap through here. Oh, and that's a car off. That's going to be Zach Doran there off into the dirt. Looking for a way back on. Joins back in without too much drama. That's going to be Tommy Kogan right behind him. Oh, and he's off again to, I think, maybe let Tommy Kogan through. Tommy Kogan on an outlap at the moment. Now roadside cookie right behind him. Let's take a look down at Abraham Hinojosa here. Coming around the back straight, it looks like the cameraman just missed him. Or no, that's his, yeah, that's his Ferrari right there. Never mind, cameraman doing a great job. Might even get a raise. Now into the tricky right-hander. Looks like he gets the car slowed down enough. He's gonna hang on to that 9/10 lead. Come on, get the power down. 8/10 still. And 8/10 won't quite be enough for a position improvement, but that is almost a second faster, and that is going to be the kind of improvement we want to see out there with 4 minutes left in qualifying. He's going to bank pretty big improvement here. 9/10 up, sets a personal best of a 138.892. Definitely a good improvement to be making here, and he's going to go ahead and have it back into the pits. Take a look over at Mohamed Nandava's lap. He's pretty much deadlocked with his previous personal best. Ooh, he's just wrestling with that Delta right now as he comes around the hairpin here into turn, what is that, 15. And with a 135.425, Mohamed Nandava sets his best lap of the session. Let's go ahead and take a look down here in P20 Jet Lim, or is it Lim? Lim. I'm gonna go with Lim. Right now, 8/10 up will be enough for several positions gained here if he can hang on to it for just a couple more corners here. Rounding turn 8, he's going to continue to grow the lead, now up a second on his previous best. Right now, the only Lamborghini on the board. Going to be looking to represent for his manufacturer of choice here. That is a car I have never really quite meshed with. Fun every time I drive it, but I am not very quick in it. Let's see how he handles turn 13. Looks like a good line through there. Nice and out wide, gets a good, ooh. Can't tell if that's a late turn in or if that's just the camera angle, but that looked good to me. Still 9/10 up. Just 2 more corners to get around, to find a little bit more time. Still is just at that 1 second mark. And it looks like gonna lose a little bit of time off the, ooh, McLaren there in the background gets a little bit loose, but gains 2 positions there with a 135.777. Gonna be his new personal best, moves him up in 18th place. And just because we haven't since qualifying started, let's go ahead and get a little onboard here with Tommy Kogan. Do this and that. There we go. Didn't switch scenes. There we go. Oh, I don't have his livery loaded on the other computer. Sorry about that, Tommy. I mostly just want to see this lap from his perspective when we get to that fast right-hander, just so we can see how dicey of a line the drivers have to take to get in there and just how much the car is going to shift around on him. And you see there, nice straight line through here, good cut of that curve, lines up the next one. Now you have to stab on your brakes right about there, he gets it. Ooh, a little bit of slide there, goes out wide just a bit and invalidates. But now you can see, just having been inside the car, just how dicey that line is as Tommy Kogan going to come around the final bend to finish his qualifying session, unfortunately on an invalid lap, and he's going to use that as his opportunity to practice his pit entry. And bravo, sir, that looked clean. Love to see it. Two more cars here coming around the final bend, and there we go. Zach Doran going to use that again, practice his in-lap. Gerlandi Haki still out there on a 1/10 lead on his personal best. Finds 2/10 there, loses the 2/10 back. Let's see if he gets him on corner exit. He finds it on the power as he gets down through here. But let's go ahead and go through those finishing positions. Matt Byrne in P1 with a 133.4, fastest lap during this qualifying session. Zach Doran right behind him with a 133.582. Matt, our team, in third place with a 133.825. Casey Bennett just behind him by a couple hundredths of a second in fourth place with a 133.872. Christopher Schuffler just behind him with a 133.915. Mateus Alves with a 133.9 as well. Jeremy Story in seventh place, the 134.165. Jack McDonald in P8 with a 134.910. Kyrie's with a 134.245 in ninth place, and Mark Levine in 10th place with a 134.347 as the new time to beat. Looks like we just have a couple of cars waiting to finish up these laps. The session has ended, and in just a moment here we will flip over to the race. I don't know if it's just going to cut the session on him or what's going on here. There we go. All right. Now we're back in business. And it's safe for me to interact with the menu. There we go. All right. Okay. Okay. Again, congratulations to Matt Byrne qualifying in P1. I'm going to try something a little different here. This is supposed to be an animated camera, but I guess it's not. So we'll just do this. Okay, so Matt Byrne in P1 qualifies with a it was like a 133 something. Unfortunately, it doesn't let me get to it from this screen. Let me get it over here. Just 1 second, folks. Never mind. It's not going to let me. That's super cool. Anyway, Matt Byrne in P1. Let's see, Zach Doran qualifying in P2, Matt, our team, qualifying in P3. While I'm doing this, let's get car numbers up there. Let's get our race gaps sorted out. There we go. Matt, our team, in the number 414 Audi in P3. Casey Bennett in the 918 Ferrari, qualifying in P4. Christopher Schuffler over just behind him in the number 44 Ferrari, qualifying in P5. In P6, Mateus Alves in another Ferrari. Look at these manufacturers here. Ferrari has got the top 10 pretty much halfway to themselves. 4 of the 10 cars being Ferraris. Jeremy Story in P7 in the number 584 BMW. Jack McDonald in the number 96 McLaren, qualifying in P8. Juan Kyrie's in P9 in the number 16 Ferrari. Mark Levine in the number 666 Aston Martin, one of the 2 Aston Martins on the track today. Tommy Kogan in P11 in the number 55 Audi, Gerlandi Haki. Qualifying in P12 in the number 9 Porsche, Andrew Jaski. In P13 in the number 69 Aston Martin, Bruce Hopkins. In P14 in the number 60 Audi, Eric Gottsacker. In the number 98 Mercedes AMG. In P15, Mohamed Nandava. In P40 or in P16 in the number 43 BMW, and the number 77 BMW. Just behind Mohamed Nandava is Alexander Barnes. In P17, Jet Lim. In the number 33 Lamborghini. Qualifying in P18 and P19, Roadside Cookie in the number 5 Audi. Wizard in the number 311 BMW. Qualifying in P20. In P21, Alan Hanglin in the number 40 Ferrari. Abraham Inajosa in the number 94 Ferrari, qualifying in P22. And at the end of the grid here to round out this train, Cuthbert Calculus, which I don't think I saw him during qualifying, in the number 911 Porsche, qualifying in P23. But now that we are about to get this started, they're going to start their formation lap. Last opportunity for them to get their tires up to temperature, get the last feel of the car after they have made any changes since qualifying. But it is time to get this race going, folks. We got some mad hype for Wizard in the chat. Man is casting fireballs. Better be ready for Wiz to cast the Dimension Door all the way up to first place. Yeah, we will see. He's got a little bit of work to do. But there is certainly a lot of racing left here. Still have 1 hour on the clock. Haven't even started. Who knows? Might have a couple of tricks up his sleeve. We'll see what he can do once we get started here. Where is my mouse? There's my mouse over there. But take a look at this lineup, folks. We have got cars pretty much stretching from front to back, almost down this entire straight. I think if I go to this camera, no, it is that one, should show us, if I get it lined up right, just how many cars there are. Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit better of an idea of where all those cars are at. There we go. There's the shot I was looking for. Look at all those cars. 23 starting this race. Should be a pretty exciting showing for us to watch here. Let's take a look at, I'm going to go over to my other monitor here, take a look at what the weather is looking like for this race. It's going to be nice and sunny, no clouds in the sky, 23 degrees science out there, and 30 degrees on the track, and a slight crosswind of 1 km/h. Really nothing for the drivers to worry about today. So we're gonna have a nice warm race for the drivers. Maybe might see some tire condition problems with that much heat on the track, but only time will tell. But the drivers are now going to be getting the order to line up double file as we get closer to this race start. We'll go ahead and split it over to the split screen here just so we can have some shot of trying to see everything that's going on at race start. Ooh. A little bit of a lag spike there from my main PC. Hopefully that's the last one of those we see. But as we wait for the drivers to round the last couple of bends and get their starting positions lined up, go ahead and send a big thank you to everybody who's joined us so far. Hope you've enjoyed the broadcast. In just a second here, we are going to wait for the green lights to illuminate to signify the starting of this race. Just 1 corner to go, and we will get this race underway. The drivers just waiting for the green call out with itchy right feet, getting ready to put the power down, and there we go. Oh, and right off of the bat, we've got some position start penalties handed out to 2 of the cars here, but it looks like a good start there for Zach Dorn, getting out in front of Matt Byrne before he has a chance to do anything here, and nets himself a position right off the start-finish line. Looking over at the other cars, I can't tell what exactly is going on over there. We've got a big spin there in the back of the grid. Let me see if I can get over to that in time. It looks like Juan Kyrie is going to be the one left out there, trying to get himself back over onto the field. Christopher Shuffler definitely under some pressure. Matt Byrne still trying to get back out in front of Zach Doran. There's too much racing for me to try and get all on one screen there. Christopher Shuffler's got Jeremy Story up his inside. Jeremy Story is able to get the position down. That is going to be the move made there in turn 8. Number 33 gets disqualified for driving the wrong way. That is going to be Jet Lim, unfortunately. Now Jack McDonald wants a piece of Christopher Shuffler there on the outside, not quite able to make it stick. And Christopher Shuffler going to go on to defend that position down the back straight here. We can see in the back there, we've got a couple of positions changing. Abraham Hinojosa trying to gain a position on Alexander Barnes, and it is going to be a drag race down into turn 7. Ooh, and we see on the outside there, I believe that was, oh, he's going for it again, the Aston Martin on the inside. Oh, we've got a Ferrari sideways, and a Mercedes is going to get collected there. That's going to be Abraham Hinojosa there. Gets run into the side of. Let's check in with our race leaders here, because it is still anything but decided here as we see Matt Byrne go for a late defensive move there on Matt, our team. Casey Bennett is also in this battle here, but he is getting hung out to dry and drops back 2 positions. Jeremy Story and Matt, our team, getting around him. And more drive-throughs getting handed out, or excuse me, no, that is still position start penalties that have yet to be served. But Casey Bennett here definitely fighting for his life here in the top 5. As we see, this grid is still very, very tight. Matt Byrne not far behind Zach Doran. Matt, our team, not far behind him. It looks like we've got a little bit of more of a battle for P1 and then another for P3 here. As we see Jeremy Story trying to close up on Matt, our team, not finding room to make it happen. And now we've got the pit window open. That's a good reminder for me to put those mandatory pit stops. Got a question in the chat. How did I get disqualified? That must be Jet Lim? Not sure, Lim. Anyways, it said you were disqualified for driving in the wrong direction. I didn't happen to see it on track, but here we go. Matt Byrne and Zach Doran going into that right-hander there, and Matt Byrne finds his way through. Ooh, as he almost gives Zach Doran a bit of a squeeze there, but on the switch back, he gets himself back out into P1. Oh, we've got a big accident with Tommy Kogan, gets hit and spun around. I believe that was with Wizard. And they get that sorted out, but Tommy Kogan's Audi not looking great, but I'm not going to take our eyes off of this battle for P1. Zach Doran looks for the outside, goes for the switch through. That was quite the move there by Matt Byrne, but manages to defend the position. Zach Doran definitely not going to be happy about that one, but has some work to do to get that position back. And Jeremy Story really giving Matt, our team, a run for his money here as we go into lap 2 of this race. Yeah, that is rough luck. Unfortunately, the auto steward there, not always the most gracious judge of what's trying to happen, or driver intent there. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that here as we see Jeremy Story giving Matt, our team, the blinkers, trying to let him know that he's trying to pass and get through here, tries to shove his side. Man, I hate to see that. Tries to force his way through on the inside there on Matt, our team. Oh, and it looks like another Ferrari gets collected as a result. That's going to be Casey Bennett. I'm not sure about that move there by Jeremy Story there, but he does go up in position. Now Christopher Shuffler and Jack McDonald very close to each other, right behind Mateus Alves here for P4. We got a 3-car battle here as these two go into the hairpin. Got 2 Ferraris and a McLaren. We still have several battles for positions going on here, folks. I'm trying my best to try and keep track of it all, but right now, closest battles for position are going to be between Matt, our team, now in P11 after that spin, and Andrew Jaski. Casey Bennett into the pits. I believe he's one of the ones that has a drive-through that needs to be served. Or perhaps he's repairing damage. Let me get a look at him. Oh no, he is, unfortunately, he is repairing damage, and number 311 is disqualified for that race start position violation. That is going to be Wizard. Unfortunately, he's going to be disqualified for not serving that position start penalty. It looks like the number 94 car as well. That's going to be both him and Abraham Hinojosa going to be serving pit or starting position violations there. Oh, and we see Alan Anglin get a little bit loose there on the exit of turn 6 here. Now we've got a 2-car race around turn 7 into turn 8. Oh, and this is very bunched up. A good move there by Juan Kyrie's on the inside. Nets him a position, moving him up into P13. Eric Gottsacker on the defense here, and just behind him, Tommy Kogan and Alan Anglin are also battling for position here, now coming into turn 9. And this pack of cars going to continue this battle down the back straight. Matt Byrne going to set a new fastest lap of the session with a 1:34.312. And as fast as that is, Mateus Alves and Zach Doran also going to come through with fastest laps. Mateus Alves now with the fastest lap of the 1:34. What was that? 227, excuse me. But Eric Gottsacker, now that I'm looking a little bit closer, his hood may be bent up a little bit with the floppy hood syndrome. Is going to make it more difficult for him to defend Tommy Kogan there, trying to make a pass on him there in turn 1, not able to make it stick. But he is going to keep trying around turn 3, now into turn 4. Just behind him there, you can see it's getting close between him and Roadside Cookie, but Tommy Kogan on the inside looks like he finds the room to make it happen. Roadside Cookie trying the same thing, not having the same luck, but that is going to be a position gained there by Tommy Kogan. Man, could not have picked a worse time to get hiccups, excuse me, folks. Alan Hanglin here still on the defense from Roadside Cookie, just a couple of tenths between the two of them. And Matt, our team, into the pits. Roadside Cookie looking for a way through, just not quite yet in striking position, but that could change if he gets the draft from the Ferrari. Although it looks like he might be a little far back to try and get that advantage. Going to be looking to make that attempt on the next lap through. Alan Hanglin gets the car rotated through there, a little bumpy on the exit, but manages to keep control of the car. Let's check in on our race leaders here. Matt Byrne is getting chased down by Zach Doran. Still just a half-second gap between the two as we go into lap 5 of this race. Zach Doran is reeling him in. They come down through turn 7. There's their best lap comparisons. Let me get their last lap comparisons, because that's probably a little more, that actually just so happens to be the same lap in this case, but looks like Zach Doran gains a bit of time in sectors 1 and 3, but that speed from the McLaren and kind of just the aero package it's got helps it get through those fast sweeping corners a little better than the Porsche can. He's gaining about 2.5 tenths in sector 2. Both of them get a good run through the fast right-hander, excuse me. Now coming into the end of the straight there, McLaren gets through just fine. Porsche off wide. And that is going to be a great lap there for Matt Byrne. Gains about a half second on Zach Doran in that last lap. But let's take a look at Gerlandi Haki, and ooh! Looked like a little bit of contact between him and Mark Levine. Mohamed Nandava also finds his way through. Andrew Jaski tries, and a little bit of contact between him and Gerlandi Haki, but fortunately no one spins. Drops down 3 positions. The other drivers taking advantage of that. Andrew Jaski just a couple of tenths behind Mohamed Nandava, but Gerlandi Haki trying to catch up to Andrew Jaski to get those positions back. It looks like he's going to try on the inside into turn 1. Backs off before he gets there to avoid a very costly collision there. That is not a spot you want to get spun around. BMW of Mohamed Nandava off wide. Ooh, and Gerlandi Haki going to try on the inside. There may have been contact through there. That is a send and a half on the inside. Andrew Jaski not going to be happy about that. But he does get the move done. Let's take a look at Christopher Schuffler here, going to make a move on Mateus Alves. It's going to be Ferrari on Ferrari here. as they come out and around turn 10, now down the straight. And they are catching up to, I believe that is Jeremy, no, that is Matt Artine, who has already served his mandatory pit stop, which explains where he is on the track. Ooh. And these two side by side coming down the straight. I just happened to catch the race gap there, but it looks like Andrew Jaski gets out in front and gains a position on the straight. I guess the Aston Martin carrying a bit more speed than the Porsche, which we do know is always a little bit down on top end speed there. But Andrew Jaski there getting the move done and moves himself back up into P9. Christopher Schuffler here looking to make a move on Mateus Alves, still just 4/10 between the two of them, and only 4/10 between Zach Doran and Matt Byrne up for P1. Right now we're going to be seeing Matt Artem getting that blue flag waved for being down a lap, again because he served a pit stop. But we see a move on the inside here. Christopher Schuffler gonna go for it. Let's see if he goes. He does not commit to the dive bomb, thank goodness. And slots in behind Mateus Alves here. Gonna look for another opportunity to try and make that move happen. And we can see Matt Artem starting to pull a little bit of gap to these two. Let's take a look back over at Mohamed Nandava and Andrew Jaski as we see a big move on the inside of turn 8 for Andrew Jaski. And is not quite yet the move done. Is a pretty good positioning for the BMW to go for a pass there. And gets early on the brakes and still makes contact to the rear of Andrew Jaski and gets him spun, and he loses 2 positions as a result. That is the second time we've seen that same thing happen there. And unfortunately, Andrew Jaski going to be the butt of that this time through. Alexander Barnes and Juan Kyrie's here now very close there. It looked like one of the two got out a little bit wide there. Very close there through these corners here, but it looks like Juan Kyrie is going to defend the attack here and starts to pull a little bit of gap in those couple of corners. Let's take a look over at our battle for P1. As Matt Burns still under some pressure here from Zach Doran. And looking at their last, they actually tied each other on their last lap. Look at that gray border there on the overall split. So these two, I'm not going to say either one of them holding the other up. It looks like we've got 2 evenly matched drivers in different cars here. Going to be battling for P1. This is going to be an exciting race to watch, folks. I'm not sure what happened there, but now there's a 1.5 second gap for Zach Doran. I was watching the race, I just didn't see what happened. Anyway, Matt Byrne gonna pull away. Maybe a rough entry for Zach Doran there. We'll see if he can claw it back. I have no doubt that he'll be able to. But yeah, 6/10 off the pace on that last lap. Not what Zach Doran wants to see. He's gonna have to bring that pace in a little bit if he wants to keep up with Matt Byrne. I have no doubt he'll be able to do that here. Christopher Schuffler back in striking distance on Mateus Alves as they go into turns 2 and 3 here. I'm very curious, where is Matt Artem going to come back out after pits have been served here? Looks like P16 is where he's going to end up settling out. We'll see if he can make up some of that space there. That early spin definitely not helping him here at Misano today. Go ahead and see if I can't pull up that replay from earlier in the race so we can get an idea of what exactly happened there after qualifying in P3. Ooh, as I do that, actually, I see Andrew Jaski goes for a move. I'm going to go for the replay here because we only just missed it. Ooh, goes for the late dive there into turn 9. or excuse me, turn 8, and yeah, he makes it stick. Well done there by Andrew Jaski. Good move. Jaski looking to make another move here on Mohamed Nandava, and he makes it and gains himself another position, now sitting in P8. And Andrew Jaski out there trying to claim as many positions as he can. Now a bit of a battle forming behind him. As we see, as they go too wide around that bend, it's going to be Gurlandi Haki and Mohamed Nandava, just a 10th between the two of them, but Gurlandi Haki going to make the pass there. Wow, I'm just now realizing how dinged up that Porsche is. Let's take a look over at Mateus Alves and Christopher Shuffler. These two have been at it for a couple laps now. That gap just keeps getting smaller and smaller every time we look back over at it. Fastest lap of the race out of Matt Byrne, a 1:34.015 is now the time to beat. Now Juan Kyrie's and Mohamed Nandava back at it here. Juan Kyrie slowly creeping in behind that BMW. Gonna be looking to move himself up into the top 10 here. BMW driver gonna have to get on the defense here, but one thing I'm noticing about everybody's car, there seems to be a little bit of paint missing from everyone. A lot of rubbing is racing out there today. Tommy Kogan and Alexander Barnes starting to get pretty close. We'll check back in with these two later, but let's take a look over here at this battle for P12. Ooh, and a good run by Tommy Kogan up the inside around turn 7, now down into turn 8. He's got the gain. Let's see if he can hang on to it through the corner. There's Juan Kyrie's just in front of this battle. Also gains that position there. We can see him on the outside there, making the move happen. Tommy Kogan moves himself up into P12, and Juan Kyrie's up into the top 10. And Tommy Kogan not out of the woods yet here. Alexander Barnes still right behind him. Shuffler getting close to Mateus Alves again. Looks like, I'm not sure what happened there, but really had to slow down there. And a half-second gap goes to almost 2. Whatever it was, we unfortunately just missed it. Check in on these two. The battle for P1 still being contested here as Zach Doran struggling to, well, I won't say that. He's not struggling to keep up with Matt Byrne, but he is kind of fighting to try and close that gap down. It's kind of more or less hung out around that 2.5 to 1 second gap. Keep an eye on that and see if he's able to reel it in. Right now, Matt, our team, looking to make a pass on, I think that's Casey Bennett right in front of him for position. Slowly reeling him in, but Casey Bennett, another one of our quick drivers here, that just got bad luck there at the beginning of the start. So this is not going to be an easy pass for Matt Artem. Let's take a look over at Tommy Kogan right now, getting within striking distance of Mohamed Nandava. Less than a half second between the two as Tommy Kogan is slowly closing down that gap down into turn one. A good run through turn two, and let's see how he does with turns 4 through 6 here. This is where he's probably going to get the opportunity to strike if he's going to find one soon. Bruce Hopkins is going to be the first one through the pits at the 38-minute mark. Well, third one, I guess, because Casey Bennett and Matt Artem has been through. Just not the first of the non-early pitters. There we go. That's still technically correct. Ooh, and that looks like a great corner there for Tommy Kogan. A bit of a mistake from Mohamed Nandava, leaves him out wide, but he's in a good position to defend going in here. Oh, and they both try to go for the late brakes, and Tommy Kogan having to run it off wide to prevent a collision there. Good driver sense there. Ooh, but he might have him on the chase through here. Let's see. Oh, he is side by side as they come around here. We're going to go to the aerial view, and it looks like he's got the move done on the back straight, and there it is. Tommy Kogan moves up into P11. Mohamed Nandava now right there on the inside and might get him on the switchback through. It is going to be side by side after the exit there. Tommy Kogan now on the inside and gains the position back. Now one corner left to go. BMW could go for the late break and dive, but he thinks better of it. Slots in behind the Audi, and that is going to be the move made there by Tommy Kogan. Just up in front of this, Gerlandi Haki and Juan Kyrie is getting pretty close to one another now. As they come around turn 3, now down into this complex here. Let's see what they do. I think it's going to be slightly advantaged Porsche here, just can rotate a little bit better through some of these corners. That Ferrari is getting closer as they come into turn 8. Rounding that, they come out the same order as they entered it, going into turn 9 now, and it looks like the Ferrari is just not going to be able to find a way through yet. If he's going to, it looks like a good exit here will be enough for him to get around the Porsche just from top speed alone. At least that is what we've seen the last couple of times we've seen this matchup through here, and that Ferrari is getting closer and closer, and the Ferrari is almost past, and he gets on the brakes and backs out of it. Rather than trying to force the issue, a great big power slide there from the Porsche around that bend there, but he manages to hang on to it. And that is an impressive show of car control there from Gerlandi Haki. Zach Doran into the pits. I got to highlight again just how impressive that was from the Porsche driver there to be able to hold that slide around the corner and not spin the car. No easy feat at all. Really like to see the onboard of that happening, so I think that's exactly what I'm going to go put on here. But let's watch this race between Mateus Alves and Christopher Schuffler in the meantime. Actually, as I say that, it spaces back out, so let's go back over here to Juan Kyrie's and Gerlandi Haki as they continue to duke this one out. Ooh, and a stop and go 30 is going to be handed out to the number 10 car of Zach Doran for speeding in pit lane. And that is going to pretty much be his battle with Matt Byrne over. That is some bad luck, unfortunately, for him. go ahead and ride on board here. This is going to be a replay of Gerlandi Haki's run through... oh, come on. There we go. We want to go on board with this just so we can kind of get an idea of that angle as he slips through there. Look at the Yare going through that. He was not at all facing the direction the car was heading. Let's go back and look at that from another angle outside the car here. Because it is not often you see a Porsche drift like that and not spin out. You can see the Ferrari there on the inside challenging him as he comes through, gets on the brakes, loses the back end a little bit, but with some counter steering, gets that car facing back the right direction before the next corner. Oh, you'll love to see it. Battle is heating up between Juan Kyries and Gerlandi Haki, as these two are still at it, and it looks like Tommy Kogan here on a different lap is going to be catching. Actually, no, that is for position, excuse me. And now we have a two-car drag race. We've seen this unfold before. Let's see if it comes out the same way this time. The Ferrari on the outside this time. Unfortunately, not enough room to make that one happen this time through. Porsche driver still gets a little bit slippery on the outside there, but not nearly as much as we saw that other lap. Jeremy Story into the pits now, as is Andrew Jaski. Oh, and it looks like we have a disconnect there. Not sure who that is. We've also got Zach Doran now leaving the pits, just cleared that stop and go. And he will be let out of the pits in 17th place. Ooh, it is getting very, very close with these three, as we see there. Tommy Kogan gets very close to the back of Juan Kyries. Ooh, the Porsche driver out wide there. Oh my goodness, it is getting very, very close here. Tommy Kogan overcooking it a little bit. That is going to be very close to a track warning on the outside there. Hoping for the no time gained there for sure. Alan Hanglin is into the pits now. Oh, and a big move by Juan Kyries on the inside. The Porsche driver off wide, and that is going to be the move done. Oh, but on the switchback through this turn 10, we might see, oh my goodness, they switch positions again. Gerlandi Haki gets back out in front of the Ferrari, but this is not a good place for him to do it because the Ferrari is going to be able to get past him on the straight. There we go. Man, that Porsche needs a BOP update because it is just getting left behind on the straights there. Tommy Kogan also gets through there effortlessly. And there is just nothing that Gerlandi Haki can do about that. Mateus Alves into the pits now, going to let Jack McDonald through. It looks like Gerlandi Haki into the pits. He's going to get himself out of this battle here. Hope for some clear air when he comes out. That just leaves Juan Kyries and Tommy Kogan duking it out for position here as they start lap 18. About half the field now having served their mandatory pit stops, now just waiting for the other half to come through. Right now in the pits, Mateus Alves, Gerlandi Haki, Jeremy Story, and Alan Hanglin. The rest of the field has either served their pit stop or is waiting for their pre-planned time to do so. Got a little shot of Matt Byrne there in the background. Pretty much going to be uncontested for P1 at this point. Christopher Schuffler 15 seconds behind. Although all it takes is one bad pit stop, as we saw with Zach Doran, you find yourself in the back. Christopher Schuffler into the pits now, as is Jack McDonald right behind him. Oh, and there we go. We see Juan Kyries into the pits. And that is going to leave Tommy Kogan out into some clean air there. Moves him up into 4th place provisionally. Alexander Barnes also into the pits. So that just leaves Eric Gottsacker, Tommy Kogan and Matt Byrne to serve their mandatory pit stops. Casey Bennett and Matt Artem still at it here, having served that pit stop very early, starting to make those positions back up on the leaderboard. Got a couple of people on their out now here. I believe that is going to be Christopher Shuffler. Yep, Christopher Shuffler out of the pits now. Oh, it was Mark Levine out from a game crash. That was that disconnect earlier. Ooh, a big move there by Matt Artem on the outside. Well defended by Casey Bennett. Just parks himself right on the apex and makes sure he gets the power down on exit. And he's able to fend off Matt Artem for another lap. That's bad luck for Mr. Levine. Hopefully we see a little bit better luck next week at Laguna Seca. At least I think that's where we're at, if I'm not mistaken. Ah, my memory served me well. Let's take a break from this battle here, and we're going to go over and take a look at Zach Doran. He is starting to catch up to Mohamed Nandava. As I accidentally launch a second copy of my broadcasting software, hopefully I didn't break everything. No, we're good. Tommy Kogan into the pits, which just leaves Eric Gottsacker and Matt Byrne at this point. Only two remaining. Zach Doran slowly nipping away at Mohamed Nandava's gap. I think right now he's just looking for an opportunity to strike. Now Tommy Kogan coming out of the pits. It looks like he decided not to fix any damage. Away from this battle, but we've got another couple of close ones here. So Casey Bennett's trying to catch up to Gerlandi Haki. Matt Artem, man, I can never decide on my last names. I'm sorry, guys. But we've got a, looks like a four battle car for 9th place. Man, I am on one. Jeez, oh man. But Zach Doran going to be closing down the gap to Mohamed Nandava as they come down into turn 8. Looks like both of them get a good line through there. Zach Doran gonna have to wait for an opportunity to try and squeeze his way through. Eric Gottsacker into the pits now, leaving just Matt Byrne to serve that pit stop. Ooh, that looks like a great exit for the Porsche driver, but as we've seen here, very down on power down the straight. The question is, can he get in front of that BMW? It looks like he's gonna try as they go side by side around the fast right-hander. Now one more to go. They're still side by side as they come into this little complex here, still side by side. Zach Doran nudges out in front, and I believe that is gonna be the move made. Great move there by Zach Doran. Let's take a look at Gerlandi Haki. Oh, we've got, yeah, here's this 4-car pack for 8th place. You see there, Casey Bennett really trying to get around the Porsche of Gerlandi Haki. Just behind him, Matt Artem and Andrew Jaski also duking it out very close. Ooh, Andrew Jaski on the inside, sends it on Matt Artem. And he's going to get the move done in turn 8. Going down into turn 9. We can see late brakes there from the Audi. Now this 4-car battle is going to continue to battle on. Well, Ferrari misses his braking spot, and unfortunately off wide for Casey Bennett, going to drop back 2 positions as a result. Fortunately, the mistake made. Nobody else is collected as collateral damage of that, so good show of driver awareness there from Casey Bennett. Decides to go off wide, but unfortunately the number 10 car. Oh no! Today is not the number 10 car's day. That is gonna be Zach Doran there. Gets a drive-through penalty for track limits. We see him yellow flagged, pulled off on the side of the road. I believe that is going to be a retirement there from Zach Doran. He is still parked over there. Oh no, oh, yep, there we go. And Zach Doran gonna hang up the gloves on that one. Unfortunately, a rough race for him with incidents and penalties, and he is going to go ahead and end that one there. Ooh, the number 77 car of Alexander Barnes is going to pick up a drive-through for track limits, and it seems the 20-minute mark is where these are going to start coming through here. Andrew Jaski really nipping at the heels of Haki up in front of him in the number 9 Porsche as they round turn 10 and begin their charge down the back straight. And I think, unfortunately, Gerlandi Heki already knows how this one is going to go based on the last couple of times he's seen himself in this position. The Aston Martin going to get him the long way around on the outside. And unfortunately, nothing Gerlandi Heki can do except for watch. Alexander Barnes is going to go ahead and head on into the pits to serve that drive-through. And this pack of cars is going to continue to duel it out. And it is going to be Matt Artem's turn to take a stab at Gerlandi Haki again. Looking at those previous lap times, he is just shy of 3/4 of a second faster on that previous lap time. So it may just be a matter of time question rather than if he'll get the opportunity to pass, because he is certainly getting himself close to striking distance right now. Alexander Barnes going to clear that drive-through penalty. And Matt Burns still needs to serve that mandatory pit stop. Wow, excuse me, these hiccups are vicious right now. And Matt Byrne going to go ahead and go into the pits. Now we had an 80-second gap to Christopher Shuffler in second place. That should be more than enough time for him to work with, but we will be keeping a close eye on that pit exit. See where he filters out. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and watch Christopher Shuffler, because he has a Mateus Alves behind him. Again, these two have been duking it out this entire race. I don't know if it's necessarily been in this order the whole time, but it has been very close. And I think that I don't think Matt Byrne has anything to worry about with this gap, as they're just now rounding turn 10. Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. Roadside Cookie and Eric Gottsacker on the other hand, though. Roadside Cookie definitely has something to worry about with that AMG behind him. Matt Burns still in the pits. Now let's see. Oh, he's working his way down the track. Where's Christopher Shuffler? Oh yeah, he's got nothing to worry about. Matt Byrne gonna cleanly hang on to first place, serving the final mandatory pit stop of the race. Go ahead and watch his outlap here. I want to see where exactly he's gonna come out in front of Christopher Shuffler. Just now exiting onto turn 1. And he's gonna come out in front of Roadside Cookie, so he is well in front of Christopher Shuffler. He was just now rounding turn 1. Great race for Matt Byrne so far. Hopefully his luck holds up for the remaining 19 minutes of this race. Take a look back over at Casey Bennett and Matt Artem. Matt Artem trying to sneak through there on the inside, just not quite enough room to make that happen. Continuing to close down the gap to the Porsche, but while he is waiting to make that move, Casey Bennett is slowly catching up to the pack. Big slide there from Matt Artem, opens the window to Casey Bennett, they touch. Unfortunately, again, got some great awareness there from Casey Bennett. And put in a very tricky position there, still manages to avoid making a much bigger incident out of it. That right there, that's worthy of driver of the day if we were handing those out. Great safe driving there from Casey Bennett on multiple occasions, actually in the same spot of track. Roadside Cookie and Eric Gottsacker getting very close to it, but it looks like Roadside Cookie going to get back out in front of Eric Gottsacker through turn 11. Gottsacker closing that gap back down to Roadside Cookie as they begin lap 27 with 16 minutes left on the clock. Fighting to stay within striking distance of Roadside Cookie here. He is keeping himself inside that half-second gap mark, but just cannot find the room to squeeze past that Audi. Really on the inside there for Eric Gottsacker. I think he's trying to just maximize the amount of speed he could carry through that corner. Didn't quite work out for him the way I think he hoped it would, though, as he ends up losing a bit of time to Roadside Cookie as a result. Matt Byrne banks a faster lap, setting the first 133 of the race. The 133.712 now being the fastest time on the board. Ooh, I see a little bit of action going on between these two over here. Well, these three are really. Ooh, Matt Artem on the outside there opens the door to Casey Bennett. Now they go too wide down the straight. Matt Artem, though, just barely nosing out in front. Oh, he's trying on the inside. Matt Artem just not quite able to make it stick. Unfortunately, too, that opens the door to Casey Bennett to try and get him. And I think that is going to be the move done. It's close. Matt Artem trying to find a quick wide line through there, just not quite able to make it happen. And that is going to let Casey Bennett through. And now Gulandi Haki has him to worry about. Ooh, and Matt Artem really struggling here in the final stages of this race. You know, we talk about that here sometimes. People tend to underestimate just how hard it is to race for an hour when you are constantly caught up in a battle. The amount of mental focus that is required for as long as these guys have all been battling is really a test of endurance here. And that's why generally stints are broken up into 1 hour gaps, because after about the 1 hour mark, man, fatigue starts to set in really around about the 45-minute mark. When you are driving a sprint like this, where you are pushing the car as hard as you can for an hour, really does wear down on your ability to handle what you're doing. Ooh! As we see, Casey Bennett gets a better line than the Porsche around that fast corner, but he misjudges the speed difference, and unfortunately doesn't give himself enough time to try and get around, but loses the back end. Oh, and now that's a bad idea. Oh no. Oh, and that's a rough collision for Matt Artem and Casey Bennett. Now Casey Bennett stuck on the inside there, looking for a way through, and collects Matt Artem as a result. Oh boy. Yeah, that's a tricky one there. Matt Artem falling down to some positions there. I think he was waiting for Casey Bennett. I don't know necessarily, it's my opinion he was obliged to do so, but good sportsmanship nonetheless. Oh, Matt Artem goes off wide, presumably to let him through. Interesting. And then Casey Bennett stopped. Okay. Okay, all right. There must be some communication I'm not privy to, but there we go. It seems they've got the order sorted out. Ooh, as Matt Artem goes off a little bit wide there and hops the curb there, and actually we see race leader Matt Byrne has caught up to these two and is now going to be looking for a way through. After the pit rotation there, he had a 14-second gap to Christopher Shuffler, now 19.3 seconds. As he's now going to find his way through, yeah, and Casey Bennett just lets him through. That one I understand. Oh, and Alexander Barnes getting pretty close to Roadside Cookie here. Let's tune in and watch this over here. It's going to be very close here. Roadside Cookie goes for the late brakes, able to get it done in time. Gets the Audi to rotate. BMW is going to have to follow him down the straight. But I believe that is Mateus Alves and Christopher Shuffler just in front of them. I don't think they're racing on the same lap here, but the BMW goes for a look on the inside. My goodness. And I believe he gets the move done. Alexander Barnes gets the pass there on Roadside Cookie down the straight. let's see here what's going on around the track. Not a lot of super tight battles for position right now. Closest one on the field here is between Roadside Cookie and Alexander Barnes for P14. Let's go ahead and let's just take a look at how all the drivers are doing here. Matt Byrne definitely looking very, very strong in the odds to win this race. Currently 21 seconds up from second place. Christopher Shuffler, who has had a remarkable drive today. I believe he is up 3 positions. That is what it's telling me. After starting P5, so strong performance from him. Mateus Alves as well, looking at gaining 3 positions, which you we love to see here. Let's see. Actually, I can make this a lot easier on everybody. Just go position delta here. In fact, it looks like the majority of the field has improved. He's got Jack McDonald up 4 positions, Jeremy Story up 2 positions. Juan Kyrie's in P6 there. It looks like he's trying to get around the 911 car of Cuthbert Calculus. Oh, we've got a yellow flag on Bruce Hopkins. Let's go ahead and take a look over there. Ooh, and he has spun off in a very interesting... How did he get there? Mysteries for another time. Juan Kyrie's in P6, up 3 positions. Man, everybody having a good day out there, just from retirements and some bad luck, unfortunately, for some of the race leaders there. Tommy Kogan up 4 positions in P7. Andrew Jaski in P8 up 5 positions. Gerlandi Heki. These hiccups, man, they're just somebody just come punch me in the head. I'd rather deal with that than hiccups. Anyways, Gerlandi Heki up 3 positions in 9th place. Mohamed Nandava up 6 positions in P10, and now is where we start to get to the tragedy of the race. Unfortunately, Matt Ardham sitting in P11, down 8 positions from his starting position. The same story for Casey Bennett, down 8 positions. Ooh, maybe only down 7 positions as he gets around Matt Ardham down the pit straight, moving himself up into P11. Alexander Barnes up 4 positions in P13. Roadside Cookie up 5 positions. Eric Gottsacker tied with the starting position. Bruce Hopkins down 2, which, considering he had a couple of penalties there, actually is still a very strong performance. Alan Hanglin up 4 positions, and Cuthbert Calculus up 5. So good racing day for really everybody out at the track, save for a couple of names here who just got kind of beat up there at the beginning of the race and have been doing their best to try and recover it. And honestly, both Matt Ardham and Casey Bennett doing their best out there. Especially when you've been knocked around that early and you're one of the faster drivers and you spend the rest of your time kind of fighting just to get above the top 10. It can be super frustrating, but props to both of them for sticking it out and finishing the race. And they'll be earning some points as a result. And the way scoring is this year, with it being a linear scoring curve here, that could be very big for them in the points. It's definitely paid off for Andrew Jaski, who I believe has finished every single race this season and is currently sitting P1 as a result of that. Yeah, and that is exactly what has happened. Although the P1 finish at Suzuka definitely helped. Tommy Kogan slowly closing down on Juan Kyrie's. We might have one more position flip here before the end of the race. Now just 5 minutes left before the checkered flag waves and this race is over. We've also got Eric Gottsacker closing in on Roadside Cookie again for P14. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look over there here. Eric Gottsacker slowly reeling in Roadside Cookie, trying to get it inside that 1 second mark. And it appears that he may have coming around that bend. Now down into turn 4, 5, and 6 can be very tricky, but there's a lot of time that can be made up here. And it looks like he capitalizes on it well, narrowing down that second gap down to 0.3 through sector 1, now down through turn 7 into turn 8. He's going to try on the outside, maybe get him on the switchback. That is the number 96 car of Jack McDonald there, looking for a way through. This is a position none of these drivers want to be in, where there's a faster car in between this battle for position. Not somewhere Jack McDonald wants to be. Not somewhere Roadside Cookie wants to be. I think everybody, yeah, it's in everybody's best interest. They just get that dealt with on the straight. Jack McDonald let through. Now these two can continue their battle for position. Eric Gottsacker uses the draft to try and go for a slingshot to turn one. They touch. That's pretty big contact there. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to have spun anybody around, but Eric Gottsacker going to spend a little bit of time closing that gap back down again. No trouble there for Eric Gottsacker. It looked like he was closing it back down, but Roadside Cookie gets that gap widened back out before the next corner. The pit window is closed now that there are just 2.5 minutes left in the race. Eric Gottsacker very close to the back of Roadside Cookie as he looks to the inside and might have just gotten the move done. Ooh, but Roadside Cookie goes for the fast way on the outside. Unfortunately, is not enough for him to try and get back around and recover that position. And that is going to be the move made by Eric Gottsacker. And that is the move done there. Well-driven lap there by Eric Gottsacker. Beats Roadside Cookie by about a half second. The Roadside Cookie not out of it yet, though. He is still inside that half-second window. It puts him in striking distance here. Let's see what happens. We've seen Eric Gottsacker a little bit quicker through this bit of track. And yeah, we can see there gains himself about a second through that one spot of track. Very curious what the splits say there. Yeah, last lap he was a little over a quarter second faster. No, excuse me, it was Roadside Cookie that was quicker through there last time. Interesting. Ooh, leader is on the final lap. The call out goes out. Matt Byrne has started the final lap of this race. Let's take a look where he is now, just coming around turn 3, it looks like. Catching up to Cuthbert Calculus in P18. And makes that pass happen, no problems whatsoever. We'll go ahead and follow Matt Byrne out here on his victory lap. He will also be finishing with fastest lap of the race by some bit here, only 133.42. I think the closest lap to that is over a second slower. And as he comes around the final bend, Matt Burns will be finishing this race in a well-deserved P1 there. As he crosses the line, the checkered flag drops, and the leader has finished the race. And a pretty dominant performance there by Matt Byrne, as he is now going to go do some donuts out there in the runoff. Christopher Shuffler now getting ready to finish up his race again. Another very, very strong performance here remember, oh, that's not personal best. I wanted to go position delta there, up 3 positions since race start. And he is going to finish there in 2nd place. In 3rd place, Mateus Alves right behind him, crossing the line to finish in 3rd to round out our top 3. Jack McDonald right behind him. Looks like that's Alexander Barnes there that'll finish in P13. In P4 is Jack McDonald. Jeremy Story now coming around the final bend, looking at a P6 finish, unless the car explodes and stops moving. It looks like his luck's going to hold up for the rest of the race there, finishing in 5th place. Juan Kyrie's here. Been seeing a lot of him embroiled in quite a few battles for position, but he is going to come out of it 3 positions up on the day, finishing in 6th place. Tommy Kogan not far behind him, just a 2-second gap, but will finish in 7th place. Andrew Jaski finishing in a well-deserved P8. Gerlandi Haki finishing in P9. Mohamed Nandava in P10. And that is going to be the show, ladies and gentlemen. You can see the leaderboard over there on the side. Let me hide that so you can see it a little bit better. There are our final standings there, as we've got a couple of drivers there gonna line up there and show solidarity for the crowd there to signify the end of the race. But that is gonna do it for us, folks. Thank you so much to everybody who joined and watched with us. It was an action-packed race. Had lots of rubbing as racing. I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of the stewards are gonna have to deal with once things start getting reported. Not the cleanest race out there, but I was surprised by the lack of drive-throughs for track limits. So good effort there by the drivers to honor those track limits, which can be especially tricky here at Misano, especially with how much you have to cut the track to be quick. Anyways, that is going to do it for tonight's broadcast. Next week, we will be, at the same time, we will be broadcasting the season finale at Laguna Seca, my favorite track on the entire schedule, really, I think, in the game, having been there in person. So make sure you tune in next week to join us for the series finale at Laguna Seca. Hope to see you all there, but until next time, my name is Matt McAdams. Thanks for joining me for the race, and we hope to see you guys next week. Take care.